And good afternoon. My name is Ryan Belmore. I am the owner and publisher of What's Up Noop, and Mr. Frank Prosnich joins me. Hey, Frank.
Hey, Ryan. How you doing?
I'm doing okay, and we are lucky. And actually, I'm going to bring her up here as we say very nice things about her because sometimes, especially in an election year, it might be few and far between the nice words. But we are lucky where we're joined by Newport School Superintendent Colleen Burns Jermain. Every month, she might slide it a little bit. We both might slide it a little bit every now and then. But she's always here every month to answer our questions, and we think.
Yeah, indeed, and I think that's a real testimony to you and to you being open and transparent to the community. I think it's great.
Yeah, well, thank you, and thank you for giving me the opportunity. I always enjoy coming and speaking with Frank and Ryan. So
and you don't even have to leave the office.
No, I don't. That's the best part. I just have to hop off one Zoom to another.
There you go.
How's the first couple of weeks of school going?
It's going well. It's going well. Knock on wood. Everyone's in. Our staffing, we're very happy. Our staffing's been completed. We did right before opening day. We were, scrambling, and we've been in interviews and review. Positions, get opportunities closer to home. So instead of driving 45 minutes or coming down to Aquidneck Island, they could go around the corner and take a position down the street. So it's totally understandable, and especially with the gas prices. So, but it's going well. We've got a few new programs. We're looking forward. We got a lot of construction projects at every site going on. And we're so happy, especially with the heavy rains that just occurred, that the remediation work we did over at Pell, thanks to a grant that we received through the city, has addressed a lot of neighbors' concerns. We had monsoon rains and they didn't get anything in their backyards. So we're so excited and happy for them. So it's all good.
How is it that Newport does okay with staffing, Westerly does okay with staffing, and some areas are in deep trouble? Mm-hmm. What are the differences?
One, it may have to do with the type of position it is that one's looking for. Salary ranges, people do look at that like any other career or whatever. Sorry, I'm in a new location. I am literally in the heart of the academic hallway now with my office move. The type of position it is, the salary ranges. Sometimes it's just convenience, whether or not public transportation can get to the location. There's a lot of different reasons why, I think. So those are the ones that come to the top of my head right away.
So Pell is all complete now?
The new building addition is complete. They're in. It's absolutely gorgeous. It was so exciting, so fun. The ribbon cutting, we had the kids cut the ribbon. And we've got the punch list. We're going through, every week we're doing walkthroughs and finishing up for our neighbors. We're putting in some cryptomeras to help with privacy. The new bus loop, what a big improvement that is. We now have the transportation, the bus loop drops the children off within the property of the school. So they're no longer on the sidewalk mixing with cars. And that's been great. Let's see, the traffic we used to have, for those Pell parents, they know very well, the line for drop off and pick up went all the way down to Hillside, off of Dexter, down to my Antinomy Park, and sometimes went around the corner. Now we don't have that anymore. So huge, big improvements with the new building addition, taking advantage of that construction and creating a new delivery and traffic routing for the school. Super improvements, and just so thankful to the voters of Newport for approving the bond and for us to be able to do that work and make Pell an even more magical place than it already is. So we're happy.
Maybe it's early for this, but I wonder if you sense a more upbeat or a different attitude among the faculty and the kids.
Yes, the answer is yes. I think last year was an adjustment period for all of us coming out of COVID, no longer having that, that 6 foot keep apart and, wearing the masks. It has been, Frank, it's been a very positive, upbeat beginning. And we're hoping to just grow on that as the year moves forward.
And how are we doing at Rogers?
Rogers, Rogers, lots of fun at Rogers. Rogers, the abatement and demolition has been underway for, over 2-3 weeks. We have the fencing up around the campus, the temporary bus loop, literally right outside my window here. They'll start cutting down trees, and they'll start putting in the new bus loop that's going to be in front of the library for those of people that know the building on Wickham Avenue, and a temporary parking lot will also be installed. We're hoping to have that work finished and completed by the middle of December, by January at the latest, and then we'll reroute the students through that new bus route, and they'll have another entrance that they'll be coming into the building. So over by the auditorium right now and the open courtyard area we have, that will be fully fenced all around, in large fencing around that area, and they'll start digging. So they'll be digging up the ground and first knocking down the auditorium, which will start, I think, in another week or two. Once that's down, then the shovels go in the ground and start the digging for foundation.
How disruptive is all of that to the students and the faculty?
I give Principal Vance, his assistant, Mike Monahan, and his team, John Hano and group, excellent. They're not missing a beat. You wouldn't even know it was happening. The students are great. Kids are great. This is the way they're still entering the building the same way they always have. And the buses are still dropping off where they always have. The parking is a little tight. And I'm afraid it's going to become more challenging as we get more construction people on site. But it's going without a hitch right now, knock on wood.
So let's turn to the next 6 weeks, and we as we march towards the general election and the vote on regionalization.
Please excuse the interruption.
Sorry.
There will be no cheer practice today.
No, I
No
can't
cheer
believe it.
practice.
There will be no cheer
I was
practice
planning
today.
on it.
Thank
Oh,
you.
darn. Were you going to be there, Ryan?
I was.
Give us an R. Give us an O.
Oh, well. Well, Ryan and I will practice later on our own.
Okay. All right. No cheer practice today.
Well, that's great to hear. So, how are we doing in terms of what are you hearing in the community? And then I guess I think everybody agrees about the financial gains from the regionalization. The questions that seem to arise are the educational gains, and also whether or not eventually regionalization means true regionalization with one high school, one middle school for the communities. Where are we with all of that?
All right. So where we are is exactly as you recapped it beautifully. Everyone is clearly aware of the financial gains, not only the immediate ones, where both school districts will receive 80% reimbursement. Middletown on all its projects, they'll be responsible for that. Newport has already mapped out its financing. So that means Newport will be receiving an additional $46 million on top of what it's already getting. And then that will go to the city, and the city will then decide how to allocate those funds, or I should say what to do about those savings, I should say, because it's really about savings.
Right.
Then from there, the housing aid reimbursement goes up to, I believe, 67% for the joint regionalized school district, where each district right now receives 35% reimbursement. And for lay people or people that may not understand what that means for any capital project the school districts now do, they get Middletown and Newport 35% reimbursement from the state. A regionalized school district will receive 67% reimbursement, so $100,000 project, you'll get 67% paid by the state. The rest is paid by the joint regionalized school district.
And so to be clear with that, we're talking about future construction beyond any
Correct.
facilities construction now in either Middletown or
Yes.
in Newport, which is
That-
at roughly 80%.
Correct. That's a life thing that just continues. And then transportation for the first couple of years, there's an additional couple of $1 million that goes towards transportation costs for the districts. So that's just a sample of the financial benefits to the regionalization. The point that's always raised. So, all right, so it's very clear finances do improve the ability, for those, what communities will be putting into their school systems as far as will be impacted by this, meaning there'll be more reimbursements coming to the district, regionalized districts. So now the question is, what about the educational benefits? Why is this a good thing for our schools? So there's been a lot of talk about that, about the what ifs, and people, the difficult part is people want a definitive. They want, well, if you regionalized, X will happen with your programming. And right now it would be the regional school board that would make that decision. But as we have said, and I've heard through the meetings, that's something that citizens and people who are very interested in wanting to see certain types of changes or what they'd like to see because of the additional savings that will be attributed because of regionalization, reinvesting that money into other areas. There's also been discussion, which I really appreciate, the City Council, Lynn Segley and Mayor Napolitano, and I believe it was Elizabeth Forete, did a resolution actually stating this, that they'd like to see an education advisory committee put together now, not waiting to see if it happens now, so that these discussions of what the public would like happens now. In Middletown, that resolution was passed over and their town council approved it 7-0. So we've got both communities on the same page that they do believe that something should be done as far as looking at what the academic benefits are for the communities, as well as in the resolution it states, setting aside a fund or setting aside maybe restricted monies so that the community, parents, people know that there's going to be dollars going to the school district because of these financial gains of being regionalized. So that's something that's happening. As a superintendent, to be able to rely on a predictable business model that allows one to plan, not just on the spot planning, but to be able to implement a 3 to 5 year plan where you have resources, that is huge. And if anything, if something like that, what Councilwoman Segley, Mayor Napolitano, and I know Elizabeth Forte is not running again, but if their vision for that comes true, that would be a game changer when you think about how schools are financed now. And every spring, they have to go before, right now it's a city council or a town council, and saying, this is how much I need, instead of having a predictable formula that allows them to plan accordingly and hold, leaders of districts responsible as far as knowing, all right, this is what your allocation, what your budget is. So I think this could be a game changer if something like that could happen because of regionalization. So that's where I stand as a superintendent.
So are you suggesting that you'll be looking at a budget for 3 to 5 years rather than having to create a budget annually?
Well, it's not only, it's right, it's 3 to 5 year planning, but it's not just that, Frank. It's, as a person running an organization, working with my finance department, we know what to expect set as far as resources, or we know, we're not going to have to worry about ABC. We know these things. So we're trying to see, and Newport has already started this, and we've been supported by the council again, which I appreciate, and City Manager Nicholson and Laura Citron, where we have been setting aside creating an education fund so that we have that for because you need the resources to do the programs, to make changes. We are creating that fund, and then at the same time creating, I'll call it the rainy day fund, in case you have those unexpected things that happen, which happen in every organization. So taking that a step further with regionalization, knowing that you're going to have less expenditures like on transportation line because of regionalization. So if right now this is how much we're spending, is it possible we could start to say maybe 5-10%, put that aside so we can build something? So the taxpayer, the decision makers, as far as the allocation, we know we have a plan in place. I don't think there's ever been a sound plan for financing schools other than saying, here are your limits. And, and being responsible to the community, knowing that there are limits, and how do you at the same time deal with a growing population or a changing population that may need resources in another area. So that's my wild dream there.
So from an educational standpoint, creation of this committee, hopefully they'll come up with something that's somewhat definitive for people, or at least they can see whether there'll be something definitive, and to create this financial structure.
Hopefully, because that seems to be, in my opinion, that seems to be the sticking point. Memories are long, and I will say there's still some over here on the Newport side that have trouble, forgiving, forgetting. I don't know how you want to frame it, as far as when Newport came to Middletown and asked about regionalization. And now the roles have reversed, and now they're asking if we want to regionalize. And, for some, it's okay. We understand, we've been through it. This is for all children. We want all children, just because of your zip code, they should have great facilities and buildings. Some will think that way, so we get it, we'll come. Others, I think, are at the same time, well, you didn't want to partner with us before, why should we partner with you now? And it's kind of like, okay, so we didn't like it when it happened to us. This is me personally. I don't know why we would want to behave that way, but everyone has their opinion.
Do you think that's a lot of people, or just a small minority?
I don't know. It's interesting. I really don't know. I think, I believe it's, I shouldn't, speculate. I really don't know, but with some that I do speak with, there is a concern that, and there's trust too. Face it, there's trust. We're going to be, it's a very big change when and if you regionalize, and it's trusting that the people, the people in your community, and you're hoping the people you would think, especially when it comes to education and children, trusting that everyone wants to do what's best for kids. And I have to say, in the meetings I've been in with the town council, Middletown Council, the Middletown Committee, our committees, that's what I see the majority of. And everyone they're there for the kids. They know education's important. And I really do see, President Paul Rodricks, he has stood up publicly. He's apologized for the past. We just have to do what's right and for what we think is best for children. And everyone's going to have their own opinion. That's why everyone gets to vote. And you go in there and you pull the ballot one way or the other. And the important thing is, I don't know, and I'm sorry, Middletown will have 2 votes. Newport will have 1.
Right.
And all 3 must pass. All 3 must pass in order for it to happen.
And the Middletown votes are on the school construction.
Middletown is on the school construction because they will take on those costs as a community, just as Newport has taken on its costs for its bond as a community.
The last issue on the table, maybe not the last issue, but another big issue is it been raised by Councilwoman Bova and others about eventually everything being regionalized in the truest sense, meaning one high school, one middle school, not necessarily one elementary school, but certainly the upper levels. Is that still a possibility?
In my world, absolutely. When and if it is approved, regionalization, it's not switching, it's not flipping a switch. There's going to be a transition period. There's going to be, Middletown hasn't even put a shovel in the ground, I'm sorry, for its new buildings. So that's going to take time. So that's going to be at least 3 to 5 years out, et cetera. And building new facilities does not always mean those facilities stay how they were intended. So today with education and how we teach in classrooms, it's very plausible to think that eventually you could have one high school in Middletown. You could have the brand new Rogers 5 to 6 years out being a state-of-the-art middle school, hands-on learning. Think of that, children in grades 5 through 8 having the opportunity then to explore different hands-on learning, which when I was a kid, you did it. When I went to Thompson Junior High School, that's what you did. You had the hands-on, you had more cooking, you had more shop, you had more of those things when I was growing up. You could also do that. So there's a lot of possibilities. It is not shut down, and it's definitely, I think, where the districts would wind up going. We integrate this year. We have a joint wrestling team. We have a drama team. We did have tennis, but our hockey team. So we're already mixing our children and all that. I think it's more about where are we going to do those reading, writing, arithmetic lessons, and where are the facilities that are going to best fit all the children in Newport and Middletown.
Is that vision shared by others who are involved in the process?
I have to say, I don't know. I would hope so. I would think so, but I have not polled everyone. I think I think for people, it's hard to make change quickly. I think it's a slow process. It's like I said, it's getting to know each other. It's getting to know each other's communities, getting to build trust. Any kind of successful relationships, any kind of working relationships that one has or is successful is that they build trust, and it doesn't happen overnight. And there's a lot to do. Hopefully for the Middletown community, they'll be building state-of-the-art new buildings, and you'll have a regionalized school system with up-to-the-date modern buildings and plenty of room to expand or change maybe what you're using the facilities for. But again, that's not the decision. That's the decision of the people that are elected to that regional school board. And for those in the audience, that is a 7-member board, 3 from Newport, 3 from Middletown, and then the next highest vote getter is the 7th person on the committee. And then for the finance committee, it's the opposite of what the composition is for the school committee. So if there are 4 Newport and 3 Middletown representatives on the joint regionalized school committee, on the finance, there will be 4 from Middletown and 3 from Newport.
So finance will be a separate group from the school committee.
Correct.
Also elected or appointed?
No, those are appointed. Those come from the town council and the city council of each community, and they're appointed. Most likely, I believe it may even mention that the town manager and the city manager would be automatic members, and then there would be designees or someone appointed by either the council or by the councils. Yes.
When the election comes up this November, school committee candidates in each community are running for how long a term? at this point? Are they running for their full term? And then if regionalization passes, then at the next election, I'm not sure how all that's going to work.
Okay, so if regionalization passes, the newly elected in Newport school committee will be 1 year. July 1st, 2024, both local school committees will be dissolved. And I believe that's how it is. Is that how? Yes. And a newly elected regional school board is in place.
So it
think I have
actually would
that
be,
right.
be more than 2 years then. It would be to July 1 of 24.
No, let's see, 2022, then they go from 22 to, so November of 22 to July to June 20, that's right. So they go till July 1st, 2024, if I have that right.
And that I presume would be a special election of both communities at that point.
Yes, there'd be a special election in 2023. Yes.
Lots to go on.
Yes.
What more do we need to know about? Well, let me ask you about marketing. What is a plan to market this referendum?
I don't know of any plan to market it at this point in time. I do know, I'm looking at it right now, there is a website that has everything and all the, as a matter of fact, has the latest report that the consultants put together for the both communities. But it's Middletown Newport period US. So it's Middletown Newport .us. And that website has everything and anything on it that took place over the summer when there were some summer meetings. It also has the reports the consultants did, as well as Q&A, frequently asked questions. It has the legislation on it. It has the ballot questions on it. So everything is on there as far as what one wants to know. Everything all in one place.
Now, I know there have been some community meetings. I presume others are planned.
I know there have been small group meetings. I don't know. I know Newport Partners for Families is going to host a meeting next Tuesday for anyone that's interested. I believe the consultants that were hired by the city and town are just going to share out the information they've previously shared. Let me see. That's the only one I know of right now with with a presentation. I do know that on this past Monday night or a week ago Monday, we had Mario Carina, who oversees the school building authority in Newport at CCRI for a joint school committee meeting. There will be another joint school committee meeting in October in Middletown. That date has not been secured yet. So there will be another, I know, joint school committee meeting.
Do you know whether regionalization has become an issue with any of the school committee candidates from either community?
I know on the Newport side, because again, I'm going to go to, everyone's aware of the financial benefits. There's the question about, all right, what's the educational benefits for Newport? And I also, I've heard on the Newport side that, all right, we've already got our bonds squared away. We're all set. I believe that the Newport candidates that I've overheard, some are still deciding. They need more time. It's kind of, and they're kind of like, well, it's really up to the voters they do what the voters want as elected officials. So whatever the voters decide, they'll support. And I do think I do know there's one possibly favoring it, and there's one that does not like it. So that's what I do know. I'm not giving up names either.
That's okay. That's okay.
Colleen, I have one question, and I
Sure.
guess it doesn't land on your shoulders entirely. What happens in Middletown if there's a no on any of the 3 questions?
Ooh, that's going to be a tough one for Middletown. They
Because
will.
if it's a no to regionalization, then it would be the school even if they got 2 yeses in Middletown, it wouldn't move forward, right?
Correct. So if Newport voted it down, Middletown would not get anything.
And then if the school construction got a no, but both communities voted for a yes, so they need
Nothing
3 yeses.
happens.
Okay.
Yep. It has to be a 3-0. All 3 pass. For Middletown, that's a tough one, Ryan, because the incentives, which have already been extended out a year, and I have to say, I think Middletown and one other community needed that for time, was passed by the General Assembly. I do not know if that will happen again. And then there's some talk, they were like, well, some people were wondering, why can't we just delay regionalization and put it on a special ballot or put it in 2023? And the comments and what I've heard from that is the time it takes to do that, you have to go before the General Assembly, you have to get the sponsors, you have to get the votes, you have to, all these things you have to do. I don't know. There to go through all that again if it goes down, because I think for some, and I'm saying for some, I've heard some people just feel like, you know what, if you're not going to pass it now, when are you going to ever pass it? So because other than not having to pay for anything, how can you not get better than this? And one of the struggles that both communities have always faced is we only get 35% reimbursement in that housing aid. And some people will say, well, you've lived with it so long, but people have to realize that's part of our expenditures. Those, if we're getting 67% reimbursement, we're not spending as much, or at least the locals don't have to, and we get, the state reimbursement. So there's a lot to think about.
So Colleen, am I correct that 67% will hold whether or not regionalization passes?
No, it does not. We
away.
don't get it. If we don't get regionalization, we do not get it. We stay at 35%.
And put that in perspective in terms of dollars. We're talking probably millions of dollars that would be lost just in that area of in terms of reimbursement.
Right. So the simplest way, and I hope my math. So if we have like Thompson Middle School, we already know from Thompson Middle School, the way we teach now and the way we like to see facilities as far as for students, we're having growing pains. I have community partners in there that last year I had to say, I might not be able to fit you in here next year because I need it for teaching. I need it for classrooms. So if you have, let's say you have $100,000 capital improvements you need to do from the state in the housing aid, we'd get $67,000 reimbursement if we were regionalized. Now we get $35,000. That's the same for Middletown. And that doesn't go away. So that is something that goes on and on.
Colleen, anything else on regionalization you think is important for people to know?
I think everyone needs to read the facts. They need to, look at, I don't know. I'm in public education. I'm in education because I believe all children should have the opportunity to be in facilities, have quality teaching staff, no matter where one lives. So whether you're 02840 or 02842, that's Colleen Burns Jermain, citizen individual. And that's why I do what I do. But, other people are going to have other reasons why they believe in that or don't believe in that, or why they support it or don't support it. And some people feel regionalization takes away from community, possibly. I don't know. But at the same time, I have to say, I grew up here. I probably know half the population in Middletown and Portsmouth. It's not like a lot of people left the island. They just kind of moved across the borders. I've got family in both communities, and all communities, which I feel many in Middletown and Newport, and vice versa. A third of my teaching staff lives in Portsmouth and Middletown. So, or I think probably even more, probably 2/3. So it's not like we're already a community of Aquidneck Island. We already are. So now Middletown and Newport are, considering this, which they've been talking about for years. They've probably been talking about it since I was in school. So there you go. Change is hard. The voters will decide, and we will do our best to keep things going for students and families.
Colleen, I have one unrelated question, and then I want to make sure that if there's anything that you wanted to share, that you did. You mentioned staffing was pretty good. Busing, good. We have enough.
Busing,
bus
thank you
drivers?
for bringing it up. Yes, we do. Well, I know my bus company, Tony Murgo, Ocean State, who services both Middletown and Newport, and we share buses with them now. They are still looking for some staff. We have been able to resolve through Ronnie Gonsalves, and some of my staff here have been able to resolve some times for kids as far as getting home after school. We've done a tweaking here and there, but it's all moving in a positive direction. And typically the first 2 weeks of school with bus stops and times, it always takes readjusting as drivers get to know kids get to know the drivers, and we get a good routing down. But right now we're doing well. We're doing well there. We're good.
Anything else you'd want to add that you think is important? And I don't want to leave Ryan out, and if he has any questions as well.
I just have Vanessa says my kids go to schools in both districts. It just makes sense to regionalize. Melissa says, can we call it something other than Middletown Newport or Newport Middletown Regional High School? How about a Quidneck Regional High School or Quidneck Island Regional High School?
There you go.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
I just wonder. We joked about this while it was happening in town, but it's a big week for Newport as Hocus Pocus comes out on Friday. Mm-hmm. And is there a little buzz around the school? Are the kids excited, or is it old people like me who saw the first one who are excited?
Well, I have not heard it from the children yet. Okay. But I have heard it from the adults and some that have worked on the sets or did some part-time. So yes, there is some excitement there. Absolutely. Of course, it's Hollywood. So, and everyone will be looking for the scenes in Newport and what they know. So no, it's an exciting time. It is. It's a great time. And tonight is the Rogers High School open house. So we hope to see a lot of our Viking parents here tonight with Principal Vance and his team. And tomorrow night is Thompson's open house, which we're excited about. Pell had the most it was so great. All those little ones coming in, their little face, everyone was happy. It was a happy time. And it is a happy time still, but you're having a bad day, just go to Pell. Just walk the hallways. It's great.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we will. We're going to chat with you one more time.
Okay.
Before the general election, so we will chat with you at the end of October, just before Halloween.
All right.
No
costumes. No costumes. Okay.
Hopefully, everybody shares your passion for what's going on. I'm impressed with. I'm impressed with how your level of dedication and passion for education. I don't think you can find it. You can find it better anywhere else, and very impressed with that. The community is fortunate to have you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. And I'll send the check.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Colleen, is that the? It's tough to see the.
Yes.
Rogers behind you.
Yes, that is it.
On your upside,
that is it. That is it. I can next time if you want. I have plans all around the room.
Oh. All right. You must be seeing those in your sleep.
I am.
All right, Colleen. Well, thank you very much for taking the time. We know you are very busy, and we will chat with you next month, if not before.
All right, well, Ryan and Frank, thank you.
Thank you,
It's just
Colleen.
nice to be able to talk to the community. Take
All
care.
right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that is Colleen Burns Jermain, Superintendent, Newport Public Schools. And great conversation there, Frank.
I think so. You know, I'm impressed for a couple. As I said, listening to her talk about why she does this is inspiring, and the fact that she has a vision for where this can go in terms of one high school, one middle school, and she's not afraid to express that. And she also is quite candid about where the communities seem to be in this process. And that's also very refreshing. Really appreciate it. Good conversation indeed.
Yeah, I think something I always take away is she doesn't lecture
Nope.
what she thinks the community should do. She makes her opinion known slightly. She recognizes that there's people that don't share the same opinion or why they share a different opinion. I think that should be respected, that she realizes not everybody is for it, not everybody's against it, and is trying to bring them together to present the facts. And because there's a lot of noise out there right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll see. It's going to be all kinds of stuff happening over the next couple of months, over the next 6 weeks. A lot of rhetoric from candidates and bond issues, and so it just hopefully people educate themselves before they vote.
Yeah, and we see other statewide campaigns rolling out for some of the other questions. I have not heard of any campaign, but certainly I hope there isn't any confusion. But there needs to be a lot of yeses for this to move forward. There needs to be 2 yeses in Middletown, a yes in Newport. Hopefully it's not confusing to the voter when they get in there. Visit vote.ri.gov. And you should be able to see sample ballots pretty darn soon if you can't already. Check it out, find your polling place, and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, I think Colleen said that on the website there is a sample ballot for the regionalization. So, and forget what you said the website was, but it's out there. See if I can find it real quickly.
Yeah, while you do that, I'm going to visit vote.ri.gov. I'm going to pull up an address in Newport, and I'm going to see if there's a sample ballot yet for the
the local one is Middletown Newport.us. I think that be maybe Middletown-Newport.us or Middletown Newport.us.
And the full sample ballots on the Secretary of State's website is available now.
Oh, great.
Again, vote.ri.gov. And on page, nope, they don't have the questions on there yet. So they only have the candidates. So we'll get there. We will make it known when the questions are on there.
Absolutely.
All right,
we're going to keep, we're going to keep on this topic and hopefully get some others to talk about it. It's huge. This is probably one of the biggest referendum that's come along in many a year for Quidnick Island.
It is, and hopefully this is the last one for a while.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Prosnitz, thanks for bringing us this conversation today.
Thank you, Ryan.
All right. On behalf of Frank Prosnitz, as well as myself, we want to thank Newport School Superintendent Colleen Burns Jermain for joining us today. If you missed any portion of this interview, if you want to share with your friends, your enemies, Middletown, Newport, anybody else, you can find it on whatsupnoop.com. Thanks for watching.